Welcome in, whiskey freaks, to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your number one attitudinal bourbon destination. I'm John Stark, your host, and I'll be bringing you candid reviews and news and opinions from my perspective on the industry and the products they've been bringing us for hundreds of years. Today, we confront life's biggest questions like, why are we here? What's our purpose? And what does an upside-down pineapple really mean? Yeah, no, not today, kids. Today, it's all bourbon all the way. And we might just learn something while we're at it. I've got a quick stock update today from our good friends at Brown-Forman and MGP. It's been a while since I've talked about that. We've got a new release from new Riff. I've got big news from our good friends at Buffalo Trace. I know, but it's about Pappy Van Winkle, and you're going to want to hear about it. They've turned loose on their 2025 Pappy collection. I'm going to talk about it. I've got more news from Buffalo Trace, and I'm not sure that it's actually news as much as it is rumors, but it's about Buffalo Trace and it's about jail, and I want to talk about it. I also want to tell you about a terrific whiskey charity event that might give you a chance at an amazing barrel pick experience, and it supports our vets and their families, and that's very important to me. And we're going back in time. We're getting in the way back machine. So grab a pour. I'm going to grab one here real quick as I put the pod together today. And finally, like I said, I'm going to be sipping on a whiskey throughout the podcast episode. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to share that in just a little bit later. So I will share what I am sipping on today. And it's Ben Holladay Ancient Cave Collection Smoked Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And it comes in at 100 proof. In fact, let me get a quick pour of this stuff and I will take a sip and then we can get after it. So let's do a quick dive into some booze-adjacent money talk, guys. Don't worry, this is going to be short, it's going to be sweet, and I'm going to keep it from being like, it's not going to be like watching paint dry, I promise. I'll be quick. But I feel like I need to keep everybody updated on the industry. I don't hear anybody else doing this, and when I'm listening to other podcasts, and I do, a few of them, I have to do my own research, right? And when I'm listening to a bourbon or a whiskey podcast, I'd really like to know what the hell's going on in the bourbon whiskey world. So anyway, first up is Brown-Forman, and they're the folks behind Jack Daniels, Woodford, Old Forester, all that good stuff. Right now, and this is as of yesterday, they were trading at $27.48 a share, and it's down about 10% over the last year. And that's not ideal, but here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. Real quick. I personally own this one, and my strategy is buy as it dips. Okay, I'm betting this company, Brown-Forman, is bound to climb back up because why? Their portfolio is solid. People still love bourbon and we love whiskey. And let's be honest, Jack Daniels isn't going out of style anytime soon. They've been doing things to stay relevant. Now, analysts have a 12-month price target of about $40 for them. So there's a big upside there if you've got the stomach for it. Now, MGP ingredients, right? MGPI is their ticker symbol, and they're kind of that mostly behind the scenes bourbon and spirit supplier, right? They're trading at $26.65. That's taken a huge hit. It's down 68% in the last 12 months. I know numbers, is your head starting to spin? It's terrible, really. But here's the silver lining on MGP. They just brought in a new CEO, Julie Francis. I don't know much about her. I need to do some investigating. But they just brought her in, and they're still paying a quarterly dividend of 12 cents. So for every share you own, every quarter, they're going to give you 12 cents for free. That doesn't sound amazing, but when they get rid of the dividend, that's usually a bad sign. So they're still giving it a dividend. And the experts, well, they still love them with a strong buy, right? Most of them want to give that guidance, strong buy for MGP. And the 12-month target for MGP is $45. So there's a potentially nice rebound here if you're patient. Now, full transparency. I own both of these stocks. I'm sipping my whiskey and I'm quietly cheering for these guys, right? I want these stocks to bounce. I mean, for a number of reasons. My philosophy is when a good company's price drops, and these are good companies, especially Brown-Forman, that's your chance to grab a bottle or a share in the company, right? But I have to say this so I don't get sued. Do not take stock advice from me. I'm not giving investment advice here. I'm telling you what I'm doing and what I think, right? Those are my opinions. It's just basically my loud opinions over a glass of bourbon right here in my hot little hand. So trade at your own risk, guys. Well, right out the gate today, I've got news you can use. And we've got 2025 Pappy Van Winkle line. The collection has just been dropped.
Woo, doggy!
Now, I mean, you'll never get your hands on any of it, but here it is anyway. The 2025 Pappy Van Winkle Bourbon Collection is officially here. And as always, it's one of the most anticipated whiskey releases of the year. Buffalo Trace. Gosh dang. Buffalo Trace and the Van Winkle family announced the drop while warning fans to be careful of fakes and shady resellers. So the Van Winkle collection started rolling out in very limited amounts to stores, bars, and restaurants across the country right now. And they always say prices are suggested by the distillery. But the Van Winkles, they've reminded fans they don't control what retailers charge. Well, no shit. In other words, don't expect to find those bottles at sticker price, and never buy from anybody selling shit online. Just don't do it, guys. Listen, kids, if Matthew McConaughey pops into your DMs and he promises you a bottle of Pappy 23 for $200, it ain't all right. All right, here's what's in the 2025 release. And hang on, I've got to get a sip here real quick. Remember, I'm sipping on the Ben Holladay smoked. It's 100 proof. I'll give you some more details here in a few minutes. The old Rip Van Winkle 10-year is out. MSRP is $149.99. Van Winkle Special Reserve 12-year, which I have sitting upstairs, MSRP is $169.99. The Van Winkle Family Reserve Rye 13, $229. Family Reserve 15-year is $239. I'd really like to get my hands on that one. I believe Julian Van Winkle III, that is his favorite. The Van Winkle Family Reserve 20-year is $359. And the 23-year, the coveted mother of all mothers, is $499.99 MSRP. And each expression comes with detailed tasting notes ranging from vanilla, oak, these are not my words, vanilla, oak, and caramel in the younger bourbons, to rich fruit, spice, and long warm finishes in the older pours. Well, duh. And they say, you know them, what makes Pappy so legendary isn't just the flavor, it's the mystique. From its roots in the old Stitzel-Weller distillery to modern-day production at Buffalo Trace, the Van Winkle name has become bourbon's ultimate status symbol. Anthony Bourdain once called it his favorite, and spirits writers have fueled its cult following ever since. They got good writers here. But what I really want to know is, do we really care what Anthony Bourdain thinks? Honestly. Anyway, now, the super cool part to me, this year also brings something extra. And it's a rare bottle of Old Rip Van Winkle, 25-year-old, and it was originally filled back in 2017. It's bottle number 706, meaning nothing to no one. It's being auctioned through Legacy DeForge's Bourbon Heritage Month sale, and that's this month, September, Bourbon Heritage Month. And they say less than half a day into the bidding, the price had already climbed past $16,000. I am going to check right now and see what it's at today. The current bid is at $28,000. So the auction also includes other coveted bottles like OFC 2006 and a new E.H. Taylor Distillers Council release that we talked about a few episodes ago. They got a Stag single barrel pick in there and more. So it's like a conglomeration. Right now it's at $28,000. So you've still got your chance, guys. Julian and Preston Van Winkle both emphasized that each year's release represents more than just bourbon. It's a tribute to their family's legacy, yada, 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 tradition of patience and craft. For fans lucky enough to snag a bottle, this year's collection is as close to history in a glass as you can get. Again, very well worded. Okay, let me get another sip here of this Ancient Cave smoked whiskey. I'm kind of doing an experiment today, guys, really. Hang with me. I want to see at the end of the episode, I really am going somewhere with this, trust me. So I want to talk about Buffalo Trace again. Jail, Okay, if you've ever been to Buffalo Trace, to the distillery, to the gift shop, you know that there are 4 things that previously you could only buy once every 90 days. Yeats Taylor Small Batch, Blanton's, Eagle Rare, and Weller Special Reserve. The other stuff that they have there on a daily basis is fair game. You can get, I saw people walking out with cases of Buffalo Trace and Sazerac. And nobody was walking out with any Traveler. It was so interesting. Anyway, so normally it's called jail, meaning if you buy a bottle of, say, Blanton's one day, you have to wait 90 more days before you can buy another bottle of Blanton's at the distillery. Well, rumor has it, and I've sent a message out to Buffalo Trace to find out what their take is on it. I've looked on their website. It doesn't say this, but rumor has it from people that have gone to the distillery in the last few days, there is no more jail. So if you buy Buffalo Trace, if you buy Blanton's today, you could go back the next time they have Blanton's and buy it again, even if it's less than 90 days. So that's good news for people who live near the distillery. And if you're making a tour down there and you're down in the area for a couple days, maybe you could go to the distillery and pick up the one you really want more than once. So that's kind of cool news. I just wanted to share that with you. It's a rumor. I can't corroborate it yet. And for those of you with infinity bottles, that means I can't prove it's true at this point. But when I do find out for sure, I'll let you know. And listen up, guys. I've got another pro tip. And this is about Buffalo Trace. There is literally, don't you hate when folks say literally? There is literally no reason, and I mean 0 reason under the sun to stand in line at Buffalo Trace anymore. Now, I've been saying this for years, but let me spell it out for you again. Forget the snakes. Forget the hype. Forget the standing in the rain or baking in the sun. I've done it. I'm not being a hypocrite here. I've done it. I froze my ass off in the parking lot. Now, there is something cool about that. Out in the parking lot, you do meet other whiskey freaks, and you're there next to Warehouse H, and the water tower is cool. It makes for a great photo op, but really, there's no reason to do it. And Vlad, this one's for you, buddy old pal. Stop standing in line. Get there at 9 or 10 in the morning. You're basically walking right in, and you'll still get your hands on the good stuff. No drama, no bullshit. So there you have it, kids. Pro tip from this amateur. You're welcome. Now, listen, okay, don't misunderstand me here. If you know Buffalo Trace has a special drop like they've been doing lately with Elmer T. Lee or Stag or the Single Oak Project, I'm not talking about those days when they pre-announce this stuff. You're going to have to get in line for that kind of stuff. But on a normal day, don't do it. So here's something different hitting shelves. New Riff Distilling out of Newport, Kentucky has teamed up with Mad Tree Brewing in Cincinnati to drop a limited edition canned bourbon highball. They're getting into the ready to drink for sure now at New Riff, right? It's called Sway Raven's Riff. And yeah, that name sucks actually. But it's a cocktail in a can, so they took New Riff's Kentucky straight bourbon, they added soda water, they added blood orange and cherry, and they packed it into a 12-ounce can. They're selling it in 4-packs at a pretty serious 8% alcohol by volume, which is pretty sweet. Now, this is really a bourbon highball in a can, guys. It's just bourbon and soda with a twist, right? So this is like the classic, but it's kind of dressed up. Now, New Riff says it's all about honoring bourbon tradition while making it fun and easy to drink. And honestly, I do kind of get it. I mean, sometimes you don't want to haul bottles, ice, soda water to the tailgate party. I get that. But what this really is, this is basically a bourbon drink for millennials who think making a cocktail is just too much work. All right, I'm just kidding, guys. I mean, honestly, millennials aren't lazy. They're just efficient. Like, why stir a cocktail when you can DoorDash one in a can? You can snag Sway Raven's Riff at Mad Tree Tap Rooms right now, and it'll be rolling out into New Riff's tasting room and retail shops around Cincinnati and northern Kentucky soon. But here's a heads up. It's only sticking around through the month of October. So we're not in October yet, so be on the lookout for it, guys. And if you're curious about canned bourbon cocktails done the New Riff way, you probably better move fast. Let me give you a door, and this is fun. Let me get another sip first, by the way. It's my podcast. I can take a drink. Let me give you a DoorDash story here so you know I'm not making this up. The wife and I, we thought it'd be cool to try DoorDashing. I mean, we were spending a lot of time just chilling on the couch in the evenings. And a buddy of mine had done it. And he was saying, hey, this is great, man. I'm having big results. It's actually pretty fun doing it. I get out of the house. Great. So we thought, what the hell? Well, we did it for a very brief time last year. And this is really, speaking of drinks in a can, that kind of jogged my memory here. And one of our funniest deliveries, or stupidest, depending on how you look at this, we delivered one single solitary lonely can of Red Bull 1 mile to some dude. And we got paid $5 to do it. So the Walgreens was literally almost, there I said it again, literally, almost right next to this dude's house. And can you need a Red Bull that damn bad that you DoorDash it and pay, like, I think it was a total of $8 is what he paid. We got paid $5 to do it. Anyway, when you think I might be making this shit up, kids, just know it's real stuff. People are crazy. Have you ever felt the need to get a Red Bull that badly? Look, we were thrilled, like easy money, but what the hell? All right, Whiskey Freaks, this one's cool. The Folds of Honor Ultimate Barrel Pick Experience, and it's basically a bourbon lover's dream is what they're saying they're calling it. It's valued at about $20,000. And listen up. All it takes to get in is a $20 donation to Folds of Honor, and it's an incredible charity. Like I said at the beginning of the pod, this is important to me, our vets. It provides scholarships to the spouses and the kids of fallen or disabled U.S. military service members and first responders. So check this out. The grand prize. You and 3 friends get a private barrel of Horse Soldier bourbon. That is a bourbon that I've seen many times. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I need to get my hands on it probably. You're going to get a VIP tasting at the legendary Horse Soldier Distillery. Say that 3 times fast. And either a $3,000 travel voucher or a $3,000 bourbon concierge gift card. So that is not bad for a $20 donation. But wait, 5 runners-up will also score a bottle of Horse Soldier Commander Select number 6. And that bottle alone is valued at $595. I'd probably be fine losing with that one. And here's the kicker. If you're feeling extra generous and you tossed in 50 more bucks, they'll give you 500. And listen, if you spend 20 and then 50 more, they will give you 500 more entries. So that's like pouring rocket fuel on your odds, guys. 500 more possibilities to win. So like I said, I love this one. It's bourbon, it's big prizes, but more importantly, it's supporting something that actually matters. Folds of Honor is doing real work for real families, and this is a chance to raise a glass while making a difference. Let me get another sip. Winners are going to be announced on Monday, October 13th, 2025, so you're going to have plenty of time to donate here, kids. So get in now. Support a great cause, and if you win, you better invite me to that barrel pick. And if you want to be a winner, you should also pick up my new book. Yeah, I've got a new book. Yeah, it's true. It's called Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel Strength Legends, Lies, and Untold Tales. And no, it's not just one story. It's dozens of stories, actually over 40 stories. Weird, wild, historical truths. Some of it may be true. Some of it absolutely true. Some of it ridiculous. Look, I spent way too many hours researching, writing, rewriting, arguing with myself about it. And yes, a questionable amount of bourbon was consumed in that process. Inside this magical little Kindle book, which, by the way, is available right now on Amazon, you'll find bourbon truths, folklore, stories about outlaw distillers, shady marketing schemes, whiskey-fueled inventions, and the kind of whiskey facts that sound made up because some of them just might be. Guys, I pulled this stuff from the weirdest corners of whiskey history. And the coolest part is, each chapter in the book ends with one simple question. Is it whiskey wisdom or is it BS? And you get to be the judge. Now, personally, I think it's best enjoyed with the pour you're about to keep or collect. Either way, there's no judgment here, kids. Just stories, sips, and a whole lot of whiskey-fueled fun. And the best part is, it's cheap. Yeah, I figure, why charge a ridiculous amount for it, right? This book's been a labor of love for me, and I had a blast cranking this thing out. But don't get me wrong. There were plenty of gnashing of teeth, there were headaches, and even a good amount of laughs putting this book together, too. Anyway, go grab a copy. It's on Kindle over at Amazon.com. You'll find the link in the show notes, as always, or just search my name on Amazon, John Stark, S-T-A-R-C-K, spell that right. Or you can search by the book title, Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel Strength Legends, Lies, and Untold Tales. Guys, it's just $10. That's it. For the price of one bad pour at an airport bar or a whole crappy bottle of Benchmark Old No. 8, which you'll get absolutely zero enjoyment out of, you get a whole damn book full of whiskey chaos. It's my kind of chaos, guys. And hey, if you grab a copy today, there's a chance my wife won't leave me, and I might just get to keep making more podcast episodes for all y'all whiskey freaks. It's a win-win, right? Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel Strength Legends, Lies, and Untold Tales. Operators are standing by. The operators are not standing by, but Amazon will take your money. And no, I forgot to say, you can read the book on your Kindle device, and there are other ways to read it without a Kindle. I get so many messages from friends, family, and listeners. Oh, I don't have a Kindle. You don't have to have a Kindle. You don't need a Kindle. Let me say that one more time. You can download the Kindle app. It's free off the internet. Al Gore's amazing internet. It's in the Google Play Store. It's in the Apple Store. And once you download the Kindle app, it works on iPhone, iPad, Android phones, tablets, Google devices, or if you have a computer, you can read it on your computer from Amazon. Anyway, log in with your Amazon account, and then boom, your book is going to be right there. Well, it'll be there after you pay for it anyway. So you've got options. There are no excuses, whiskey freaks. Do it now. But seriously, guys, it means a lot to me. And if you do snag the book, here's what I need you to do. I need you to plop down on the patio, light up a cigar, or don't. I'm not your mom. Pour yourself something good. Have a few laughs along the way. And hey, who knows? You might, I said you might, even learn something. That's Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS, Barrel Strength Legends, Lies, and Untold Tales. And I know it's annoying when dudes do this all, they seem like they just keep hawking and talking and go on and on about their new book. It's aggravating. So in order to avoid this aggravation, just buy the book. Easy peasy, guys. Thanks. All right, guys. Yeah, I know I keep talking about the new book. I'm excited about it. What can I say? You're going to get that. You're going to get that commercial spot a lot because I'm excited about it. I love it. I had a great time doing it. Go buy the book. All right, Whiskey Freaks. We're jumping into the Wayback Machine now. Imagine this. You could crack a bottle and sit down with anyone in history, anybody. Who's it going to be? And I want to know what's in your glass. And that's exactly what I asked y'all on social media last month. I said, if you could travel back in time, who would you drink a whiskey with? And bonus points, if you tell me what you'd pour and share together. And needless to say, y'all, as usual, did not disappoint. I'm going to run through these with you guys pretty quickly because, who wants me to just read shit off social media? So I'm not going to do that, but I've kind of tallied this stuff up to kind of get an idea of what y'all are thinking, what y'all are feeling. So a lot of you folks said Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt. I couldn't believe it myself. Teddy Roosevelt came up a bunch. Half of you think he'd sip it neat, and the other half think he'd just smash the bottle against his head and wrestle a bear. No kidding. I'm not making this shit up. And the founding fathers came up a lot, from George Washington to Ben Franklin to Thomas Paine. Basically the early America Boys drinking league, really. We had a bunch of outlaws. Everybody from Wyatt Earp to Doc Holliday. You guys wanted to share a pour with Wyatt Earp or Doc Holliday. Sitting Bull. Kit Carson. William Wallace. I thought that was an interesting one. Marcus Aurelius. And I found that fascinating. The rock and rollers came up a lot. Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and obviously the king, Elvis. And it kind of made me think y'all wanted to just kind of get hammered with the 27 Club. That's what it looked like to me. It was kind of like, let's relive Woodstock, right? There were some big, heavy hitters. JFK, Albert Einstein. You guys wanted to have a pour with these cats. And the whiskey of choice was Macallan 18 or Johnny Walker Blue. That was interesting to me. A lot more whiskey than bourbon, but okay. And a lot of you, this is the one that was really touching. I'm not to get all, but there were a lot of family feels in here. A lot of you said your dad or your grandpa or even your younger self. So respect to y'all for that. Honestly, that's the kind of pour that kind of hits harder than the whiskey itself. That's kind of what it's all about, sharing, right? And who better to share a pour with than family? That was really cool. Now, some of y'all got a little crazy. We had some chaotic picks. Like someone picked Jesus, but listen here. Actually, Jesus came up many times, but one guy said he wanted to rob Jesus, and I didn't understand that one myself. Maybe that's a song lyric that I'm not familiar with. If you know, let me know. I know Jesus just left Chicago. I get that one, but anyway, so Jesus came up a lot. I understand that. One guy, he said he'd just bring the water and let Jesus do the rest. I get that. Then there was Carrie Nation, and she would probably just smash her bottles, right? And somebody actually said Uncle Adolf, and it's interesting. That's all I'm going to say about that one. And okay, there were some smart guys, like some really smart guys. Tesla, well, along with Einstein, Tesla came up too. Not the car, the dude, Nikolai, the genius inventor. And that honestly would be really cool, but probably dangerous, right? He'd probably want to conduct experiments with your whiskey or something. Some guy wanted to share Knob Creek 12 with Nikolai Tesla. So here's how it broke down, guys. The majority of you wanted to have a pour with your dad. And Theodore Roosevelt came in second. Jesus came in behind Theodore Roosevelt. Sorry, Lord. Abraham Lincoln and Doc Holliday. Those were your top 5. And so what can we... Let me get a drink here. So what can we take away from this little exercise in silliness on social media, where I asked, what, if you could go back in time, what person would you sit down and have a pour with, and what would you drink? What I figured out here, guys, is daddy issues are real. Because dad got the most votes. It looks to me like whiskey freaks are really a sentimental bunch. And when you're pressed to pick anybody in history, y'all went with your old man. And that's either wholesome or a cry for help. There were some bigger than life choices. Like I said, Teddy Roosevelt and Jesus. Okay. And what that tells me is either people want their whiskey night filled with biblical miracles, or they want stories about wrestling bears. Yeah, haha, right. And it turns out there are history nerds kind of lurking among us. I'm one of those. Lincoln and Doc Holliday, they showed up big on the list, and that proves that the group loves a mix of statesmen and gunslingers. Check out my new book, because I talk about all of that in there. I know I'm talking about the book. Anyway, I can relate to this stuff, kids. The Wild West, all those things. Look, I love Jesse James, Billy the Kid. I think my drink would probably be with Billy the Kid, actually, because I want to know, was he really as much of a badass as everybody says? Was he just misunderstood? And I think I'd like to have that conversation and get to the bottom of it. Or, okay, and this will probably be very controversial, so stay with me, guys. Lee Harvey Oswald. Yeah, I know. Just stay with me. Don't turn off the pod. You're thinking, Stark, why Oswald? The guy, yeah. Okay, honestly, there are some questions I'd love to get straight from the guy himself, right? He wasn't around long after he did the thing, right? So I want to talk about that, right? They still haven't released all the documents. Remember we were supposed to get those? Yeah, not so much. And we're more than 60 years later, And that's exactly why I'd want to do that. So, did he really pull the trigger? Was there a bigger plan? And let's be honest, if whiskey can't loosen the truth out of this guy, nothing can. That's my play. Now, as for the pour, what would I sit down and drink with him? Probably something classic, probably something he's familiar with, probably a bottle of like Old Granddad, nothing fancy, just enough to get him talking really. And who knows, maybe by the second glass, we'd finally get some real answers about Dallas in 1963. So back to what y'all said. I'm not really that worried about what I said. I'm sure you don't give a damn. There seems to be a greater philosophy that y'all are following here. And what I mean is basically, the answers show that whiskey drinkers don't dream of sipping with celebrities or modern folks. There was nobody on this list, and there were a lot of answers from anybody in the last 30 years. You guys went grit, legacy, and maybe a little water into wine type of action. But if I was to sum it up, and I am going to sum it up, the grand lesson we've learned here, what y'all are truly all about, it's that whiskey freaks are either nostalgic, reckless, or straight up aiming for divine intervention in their drinking sessions. So, guys, from Teddy Roosevelt wrestling whiskey bottles to people robbing Jesus, that was really a thing, guys. Look, honestly, this was a fantastic mailbag or whatever the hell you want to call it. Remember the mail, letters in the mailbox and that, yeah? So this is the best I can do nowadays for you. I want to keep doing this because I like sharing. I like really interacting with you guys. So keep them coming, guys. This is intriguing for me, and it makes for some pretty awesome interactions. Appreciate you sharing. And as always, I'll share with the group when I see some crazy stuff like this. Since many of you didn't see that post probably, you could see those posts if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Anyway, keep watching my socials. There's going to be more of these types of things. And if you haven't liked and followed, you should do it now.
Do it!
So I mentioned at the top of the show, there's no review today, no whiskey review. Just kind of a flashback to a whiskey I reviewed several months ago. And it would have been Season 2, Episode 12. And here's a quick backstory. This is the Ben Holladay Ancient Cave Collection. And the whiskey is the Ben Holladay Ancient Cave Smoked Whiskey. It's aged in experimental barrels, the overall cave collection for a secondary finish. And each one starts in a new level 3 charred white oak barrel. And they age it for at least 6 years in Rickhouse B or C, meaning nothing to no one. Then this is where the magic happens. And I told you guys this back on Season 2, Episode whatever, right? They select barrels from the first floor of those warehouses, and then they're rebarreled to apply a secondary finish, and in this case, in a level 1 char, hickory smoked barrel. So it's hickory smoked whiskey. Comes in at 100 proof, and as I told you guys back on that episode, they had it in a 375 milliliter bottle, which would ordinarily make me angry. It did not make me angry because I didn't really want to buy a 750 and go in for $90 or for $85 or whatever it was. So this was $44.99, and I liked that because it gave me the opportunity to get it, bring it home, and sample it and review it with you guys for $44.99. So think back with me when I previously tasted this one. Okay, before I go any further, this is why you keep notes or you use a notebook, or like I do, you write it down, then you put it in a Word document, right? So you can go back months or years later and you can revisit the stuff, see where you stand with it. Sometimes preferences change, or tasting notes, they hit you a different way. And it could be based on what you've eaten that day, or just at whatever point in your life or your whiskey journey you're at, really. So what did I say last time about the Ben Holladay Hickory Smoked 100 proof bourbon whiskey? Well, it was a keep it. It was definitely not a cull it, and I definitely didn't want to collect it either, right? It was a keep it. Now, this was an ultra limited release. I think they sold out in almost immediately. That's how fast it sold out. It was just a couple days. And I could have grabbed more than the one bottle, but I'm glad I just got this one little guy. Now, what did I say? Well, straight up, I pulled up my audio to review it. What did I say on the episode? Well, this is what I said. This one hits different. It had my mouth watering in a good way while I was sipping it, and I love that. The red fruit on it was amazing. And it's a big but, the smoke came in like an uninvited guest and just choked out everything else. I like the peppery kick, even caught a little leather on the finish, but dang, let those flavors breathe a little. It's kind of weird to quote myself. But anyway, that was what I said when I first reviewed this with y'all. So the big question now is, today, did anything change for me? And how do I feel about it now after tasting it again and having several sips during our conversation or our podcast today? What, if anything, has changed? Well, I have to be honest with you, because that's what I do here. I like it more. It's not a collect it, right? It's still a keep it. But that smoky note, and I don't know if it's what I've eaten today, what I've drank today, was it my coffee I drank earlier in the day, was it lunch, or what was it, right? I don't know. But I can tell you that the smokiness is more subtle, or at least I'm perceiving it to be more subtle. The peppery note isn't quite as peppery today, but it does have that red fruit, and it's got the beautiful caramel and the vanilla. It's fantastic. Would I buy it again? Probably not. I like it more than I did, but I don't like it enough to buy more of it. And my verdict of keep it, that's not going to change. I'm going to keep it, and actually, I'm enjoying it now. God, it's so weird that smokiness, I can't explain it. I'm going to have to do some research and find out how on earth something can bring the smoke months and months ago, and then now, the bottle hasn't been opened. You hear oxidation or the neck pour or all this kind of stupid shit. I don't know what it was. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit, but I do like it. I like it more than when I first tasted it. So I'm not going to buy any more of it. Obviously, I can't, but the proof is beautiful at 100 proof. The flavors are great. Glad I kept it around, no doubt. And it's really kind of fun to re-examine it several months later, and really just kind of gave me an opportunity to check myself. I'm always taking one for the team, guys. Look, don't forget to hit up my social media on Facebook and Instagram and like and follow. And don't forget to subscribe on all media. So if you listen on Apple, subscribe on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, iHeart, all of that. I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not being unappreciative here. But the more you subscribe, the more the pod gets exposure, the more people are going to pick it up, and the more fun we can have. So it's going to give me more visibility for the podcast, and it gives me a reason kind of to show my wife so I can keep doing this podcast. I appreciate all y'all, and I'll see y'all in a few days, and I might even see you at the St. Louis Bourbon Festival on October 3rd. Well, last but not least, guys, and as always, I got to give a shout out to all the folks that are getting after it in the whiskey world. Those people are the farmers, the distillery production guys and gals, the warehouse workers, the bottlers, and the truck drivers, especially the truck drivers. They make it happen. So cheers to all of them. Well, that's all I got for today, Whiskey Freaks. Thanks for listening to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your number one attitudinal bourbon destination. I'm going to finish this pour.